President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "We have fallen heirs to the most glorious heritage a people ever received, and each one must do his part if we wish to show that the nation is worthy of its good fortune." Here in Utah, that glorious heritage is on full display. From the Red Rock Cliffs of the south to the snow-capped mountains in the north, our state's natural splendor captivates the imagination of all who lay eyes on it. Of course, it's more than the land that drives Utah's good fortune. The people of this great state are hard at work, building up our communities and creating a prosperous future. The economy is growing, unemployment is low, and a high quality of life brings new people and investment from around the world. As we look ahead, what challenges will our state face? What will it look like in 10 years, 50 years? How do we prepare for the Utah of the future and continue to grow and prosper? One thing is certain: Utah is changing, and the work must begin now to pass this glorious heritage to our posterity. At the Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute at the University of Utah, we prepare economic, demographic, and public policy research that helps Utah prosper. The Gardner Policy Institute in the David Eccles School of Business is responsible for preparing the state's long-term demographic and economic projections. These projections make one thing clear: Utah will remain a place of growth and change for the foreseeable future. In a mere half-century, the state will be home to nearly 6 million people, or the size of the Philadelphia metro area today. The state will add approximately 57,000 new residents each year. That's like adding a city the size of Taylorsville again and again and again for 50 consecutive years.
People here in Utah need to recognize that we're really in a region of growth. 2016, we were the fastest growing state population-wise, and we've had a very rapidly growing economy too. And for the foreseeable future, growth really will remain a major dynamic here.
Approximately 1/3 of Utah's growth will come from new people moving into our state. Many of these people will look different, talk different, and think different. Utah will diversify and change.
The growth that's occurring in Utah is accompanied also by change. So we're not talking about the same old Utah just being supersized. And one of the changes that is occurring is the fact that the youth are much more multicultural, multilingual, multi-ethnic than the adults. What people need to understand is that this shift, the increasing diversity of our youth, outnumbering the more homogeneous elders, it's ongoing, and it's cumulative, and it's irreversible, and it has very significant impact. It's a new Utah that's emerging.
Not only is Utah growing, our state and its people are changing. The most significant change will be our aging population. Right now, 1 in 10 Utahns are over the age of 65. By 2065, it will be 1 in 5.
When I think of modern medicine and what it means to our life expectancy, we're all living longer, and that means we're getting older and older. And we have this large cohort, the baby boom generation. We'll have thousands of Utahns who are over 100 years of age. That changes everything. It changes housing choices, transportation preferences, and we're going to put a lot more of our wealth into healthcare.
Demographers estimate the number of centenarians, or Utahns age 100 and older, will increase from approximately 340 today to 6,800 by 2065. Of course, our aging population isn't the only significant change occurring. Utah's economy is transitioning from goods-producing industries to service and knowledge industries.
In 1980, over half of all private sector jobs in our state were in goods-producing sectors. Now, knowledge and service-based jobs outnumber those goods-based jobs 3 to 1. With knowledge industries like high tech and life sciences gaining more and more momentum, I believe that Utah's economy is poised to become one of the nation's premier knowledge economies. That is, as long as we can continue to supply the skilled workforce that those industries demand.
The changing face and growing population of Utah will also have an impact on where Utahns live and work. Over the next 50 years, the greater Salt Lake area will continue to emerge as a global metropolitan center. The Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo-Orem metropolitan areas will merge to create a megalopolis of 3.3 million residents, or the current size of the Seattle-Tacoma-Bellevue, Washington metropolitan area. Utah will maintain its role as the crossroads of the West. International trade will continue to blossom as Utah's export economy grows. Today, Utah exports well over $12 billion in merchandise. That number will increase dramatically as Utah becomes increasingly integrated with the global economy. Downtown Salt Lake City will continue to rise and be the center of commerce, transportation, banking, legal services, entertainment, and culture.
In a lot of ways, downtown really is the beating heart for the whole state. It's the center for finance, it's the center for government, it's where everything sort of happens, where a lot of things are generated and things often radiate out from the urban center. So when we think about what downtown might look like in 10 years or 50 years, I think we'll see a lot more tall buildings. I think we'll see over the next 5 years probably another dozen tall buildings get built in downtown.
The point of the mountain and northwest quadrant of Salt Lake County will swell and become significant economic engines for the state.
The term Silicon Slopes is often applied to this tech phenomenon in Utah, but it's really important to note that it's not just the tech industry that benefits from this phenomenon, and it's not even one particular city or location along the Wasatch Front. It really is the entire Wasatch Front. And the technology companies are doing things that drive benefit in many other parts of our community. The jobs that are created to support the technical infrastructure that's used by companies in so many other industries. This is more than just a bunch of tech companies locating in Utah. Silicon Slopes is truly cross-industry, size of company. It's a fantastic part of our growth story.
The northwest quadrant of Salt Lake City is a commerce center, a tremendous commerce center with tremendous potential. That potential will come in two ways. Number one, the jobs that are created. It can become an employment center with diverse employment through the employment stack. The other part that can happen is a tremendous tax generator. So as we see the displacement in retail of a tax base, much of that's going to go to fulfillment. So the northwest quadrant of Salt Lake City has tremendous potential to be an enormous commerce center.
Nowhere will the effects of urbanization be felt more than in Utah County, which is projected to grow by approximately 1 million new residents over the next 50 years. As the epicenter for urban growth, Utah County's population will nearly reach the size of Salt Lake County by 2065.
We're going to see political power, economic power, population power shifting south as Utah County swells by more than 1 million more residents. That means that the county is going to have a lot of opportunity, but it's also going to have incredible challenges. And I would count among them increased congestion, air quality challenges, housing affordability, and importantly, critical land conservation. There's a lot of prime agricultural lands in Utah County. They're going to be at risk.
The ring counties, those counties that surround the primary urban counties, will also attract increased development. Moving south, Utah's Dixie is projected to be the fastest growing region in the state and will more than triple in size over the next 50 years, so long as the state develops the necessary water supplies.
Now, we project Washington County to be the most rapidly growing county in the entire state, tripling in population to surpass 500,000 people. Now, if you begin to think about what it will take to support that kind of a population and all those households, those are tremendous infrastructure challenges. Those are tremendous challenges in all kinds of land use planning and zoning. Water really looms large there too.
While Utah receives high praise for rapid job growth, low unemployment, and upward mobility, parts of our state still suffer from a lack of economic opportunity. This will be most prevalent in rural counties that lack economic diversification. Parts of rural Utah will continue to struggle and experience economic decline as its narrow, specialized economic base is exposed to the forces of globalization and the highly cyclical natural resource industries. Utah's coal industry will continue to struggle. Agriculture will continue to be an economic mainstay, but will not provide sufficient economic opportunity to create a vibrant and prosperous economy.
This story of a tale of two Utahs has emerged, where economic growth in our state's urban areas has caused our state economy to rank among the very best economies in the nation. All while there are many rural economies in our state that are actually experiencing decline. Policies that can alleviate this trend include encouraging greater economic diversity, and then also cultivating and leveraging existing comparative advantage in rural agriculture, energy, manufacturing, and tourism markets.
Utah's booming travel and tourist industry will continue to be a source of economic growth in many rural counties. Future development, including new ski resorts, state, or even national parks, will bring even more visitors who will come and experience Utah's natural beauty. With that growth, however, comes increased importance of public lands management and possible future controversy.
I don't see the public land debates getting any easier. We're going to see more national monuments proposed in this state, and it's going to create more and more lively discussions, and we're going to need public leadership.
Northern Utah will continue to urbanize as growth pressures push deeper into northern Weber County, Box Elder County, and Cache County. Hill Air Force Base, Utah State University, agriculture, and manufacturing will be the major sources of economic growth in Utah's North Country. These economic assets will need to be cultivated if this region is to continue on a moderate growth path. Utah is facing changes that are ongoing, irreversible, cumulative, and consequential. This is the new Utah. We are becoming more urban, which will impact transportation congestion, air quality, housing affordability, public safety, and other challenges faced by urban societies. Technological advancements will both help and cause new challenges, requiring us to bolster our knowledge economy through education. Critical lands, such as prime agricultural, recreational, and environmentally sensitive lands, will come under intensifying pressure from population growth and economic development, especially in Utah County. Housing will become more expensive, and Utah taxpayers will be called to invest in new roads and transit, water infrastructure, and educational assets. New diversity in demographics, culture, language, socioeconomics, and generations create the necessity to reinvent and reimagine how we design and connect our communities. It's not our grandmother's Utah anymore. But we live in a prosperous state and a time of abundance. We have wise community leaders and citizens who are capable of guiding the future direction of our state. Our economic, cultural, technological, and demographic capacity has never been greater.
We're living in times of tremendous growth and change. The dynamic for change will only become more intensified as time goes on. What we need to recognize is that our actions today will shape the future that we have tomorrow. The future's not given. We are active participants in, not just witnesses to, the great changes that are going on. And the actions we take today very purposefully will impact the future.
We frequently say past is prologue. I like to look back to 1847, when the Mormon pioneers settled Salt Lake Valley. Parley P. Pratt was in the Advanced Scouting Company, and he wrote this in his journal. "We could not refrain from a shout of joy which almost involuntarily escaped from our lips the moment this grand and lovely scenery was within our view." Looking forward, I feel this same sense of optimism. We live in an extraordinary state, and we absolutely have the power to create the future we want for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren.
The new Utah will require us to guide change if we are to preserve what we value. Community leadership, infrastructure investment, planning, tax modernization, and social cohesion will be more important than ever before. Decision makers have the opportunity and power to guide this growth through thoughtful planning, careful investment, and wise public policies. We will do what is difficult. We will succeed for our posterity. A new day is dawning in Utah.